Good morning, everyone. My report is about Philippine Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan, Chapter 6 and 7. Chapter 6: The Biodiversity Strategy and Action Plan. With improved human well-being as the overall goal of the PBSAP, direct and enabling interventions were identified to address and reduce the 5 major pressures of biodiversity loss, such as habitat loss and degradation, overexploitation, invasive alien species or IAS, climate change, and pollution. The direct program interventions are A. Restoration of ecosystem functions, B. Promotion of biodiversity-friendly livelihoods, and letter C. Strengthening law enforcement. These actions, when implemented, will result in concrete physical changes in the PBAS. The replanting of forest trees will result in increased forest cover that will arrest soil erosion, enable sustained water supply, and provide livelihoods for communities dependent on its resources. There are enabling or supporting program interventions that were identified. They are A. Communication, Education and Public Awareness or CEPA, B. Capacity Development for Biodiversity Management, C. Biodiversity Conservation Related Research, D. Strengthening Policy for Biodiversity Conservation, E. Promotion of Biodiversity-Friendly Technology, and F. Resource Mobilization. These interventions, when implemented individually or together with other actions, may amplify the impacts of the direct interventions, thus contribute to the achievement of identified targets. This slide shows us the PBSAP framework for biodiversity conservation, starting from the direct and enabling intervention, followed by the output, next is the outcome, and the goal. There are 19 targets identified to realize the goal. First column, we have the targets, and second column, the indicators. There are addressing drivers. Under target column, number 1, by 2028, 1 million hectares of degraded ecosystems placed under restoration programs. Under indicators, number of hectares of degraded ecosystem placed under restoration programs. Number 2, by 2028, 10% increase in total area of terrestrial PAs managed through NEPAs and other conservation measures, indigenous community conserved areas, local conservation areas, critical habitats that overlap with KBAS. Under indicators, proportion of total area of terrestrial PAs in relation to KBAS. Targets: by 2028, 20% increase in the coverage of established MPAs and sanctuaries across various aquatic habitats. Indicators: proportion of area of established marine protected areas MPAs and sanctuaries against total area of aquatic habitats. By 2028, capacity for biodiversity conservation of public and private sector groups in terrestrial and marine PAs have been strengthened. Proportion of PA management structures with high management effectiveness assessment scores, and number of private companies involved in biodiversity conservation. By 2028, 5% annual increase from the 2015 baseline in the number of schools, POs, media organizations, LGU, private companies, policymakers, government offices that are aware of and supportive of biodiversity, its importance, threats and benefits of protecting it. Number of stakeholder groups that are aware of biodiversity, its importance and benefits and threats to it. By 2028, 50% of LGUs have formulated and adopted enhanced CLUP using revised HLURB framework. Number of LGUs with enhanced CLUPs based on a revised HLURB framework. By 2028, there would be at least 10 nationally recognized agricultural heritage systems. Number of nationally recognized agricultural heritage sites. By 2028, the key threats to biodiversity are reduced, controlled, or managed. Number of IAS hotspots, number of fresh surface water systems in KBAS that pass the minimum criteria for water quality under the provisions of DAO 34. Number of agricultural expansion hotspots in KBAS. Number of energy production in mining hotspots in KBAS. Number of fuel wood collection hotspots that source raw materials from sustainable sources. Number of illegal cutting of trees hotspots. Number of illegal logging hotspots. Number of hotspots for hunting and poaching of wildlife. Number of hotspots of illegal fishing practices. Number of hotspots for residential and commercial developments in KBAS. By 2028, maintain or improve conservation status of nationally and globally threatened species in the country. Number of critically endangered, vulnerable species whose status have not been upgraded in the Philippine list of threatened species per DAO 15-2004, FAO 233-2010, DAO 2007-01, and RA 9147 in the year 2001. By 2028, no net loss in natural forest cover, area of land covered in natural forest, closed, open, and mixed forest based on NAMRIA land cover classification. By 2028, no net loss in presence and area distribution of live coral cover, mangrove, and seagrasses. Presence and area distributions of live corals, mangroves, and seagrasses in their condition. By 2028, 10% increase in agricultural areas devoted to all types of biodiversity-friendly agriculture. Number and area of farm practicing biodiversity-friendly agriculture in the Philippines. By 2028, 10% increase in the proportion of natural areas in cities. Proportion of natural areas in Philippine cities. Proportion of cities that have adopted the Biodiversity Conservation Index.